Hey everyone, Chris Haddon, Jason Balin here with the Private Lenders Podcast. Welcome, as always, sponsored by our lending company, hardmoneybankers.com, and our mastermind group for private lenders, hardmoneymastermind.com. Now, we're doing a little bit of a different twist on our normal podcast. These questions, we asked our list, our email list, the people in the mastermind group, about the things that they would like to hear us talk about, like the different aspects of hard money lending that they're working with, maybe struggling with, want to expand, what have you. And we'll touch on a few different things that can hopefully help you grow your lending business.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right, let's get started. First question is from Jeremy. Can you share the apps you use, apps and software and other things, and give a brief process for each step of your marketing plan? Maybe a 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0 for the folks that are just getting started, all the way up to the more experienced. So very good question and very important thing. We stress this a lot on the podcast and the mastermind group and really everything we do about how important marketing and lead flow is. Like trying to turn good deals out of a couple leads just isn't how this business works, right? Like you need a lot of lead flow, you need a lot of looks in order to put out good deals, and you don't have to negotiate on your price, meaning the rate and points that you charge, and also on your underwriting. Like you don't want to be competing with other lenders to give higher loan amounts and higher loan amounts. And frankly, we see that happen. And it's basically just a lack of lead flow. If your lead flow is short, you try to make deals where there aren't great deals, right? And then the opposite is true too. If you have tons of leads, you have a lot to choose from, and you put out loan quotes just like we do every day with exactly what we're comfortable with, and we don't negotiate, right? So just, do you want to add to that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, that's right. I mean, this whole business model is a marketing. You gotta think of it as a marketing. It's just a numbers game. And I know sometimes it might be scary for everybody, but it's really not. I mean, it related to any business, online business, offline business, an offline business, the best businesses don't necessarily have the best product, although hopefully you do have the best product and they do too, but it's all about who gets the most people in the front door. And you can choose. I mean, think about it like this. Let's say you have $100,000 in capital you need to deploy every week, let's just say, and you get 4 leads a week. Well, 1 out of 4, 25, 1 out of the 4 deals that you get, you're going to have to lend money to, right? On the other side, let's say you're getting 50 deals a week, right? Wouldn't you think, or wouldn't you state that 1 out of 50 deals will be more quality or more qualified than 1 out of 4 deals? It's kind of that simple, and you got to think of it as the mindset. And as hard money lenders, you're always going to do the best deals that you can get your hands on at any given time. And some months you have really, really, really good deals, and you might pass on an opportunity that's very strong. And some months you might pick up a deal that's not great because you have low deal flow. So the easy way around that is making sure you're constantly doing some sort of marketing and awareness. And the good news is as this business grows, it gets easier, right? Because you have a brand, you're well known, people know you, people work by referral, and you have the same borrowers reaching out to you over and over and over and over. So it makes it easier over time. So I guess let's go over some 1.0 marketing plan. Let's start with that, and then we'll expand to some more advanced stuff.
Okay, cool. All right, yeah. So 1.0 stuff that we teach the people in the mastermind group and people that we do consulting with is always start with the free things, free or very inexpensive, right? Because typically when you're starting up, you don't want to spend tons and tons on marketing, especially when you aren't that great at the marketing yet. So the free stuff that we're talking about, number one, the first thing you do is set up some kind of email database. You can use MailChimp, we use Infusionsoft, plenty of good ones out there that are very low cost when you don't have a huge list. And you manually get together everybody you know in real estate. Chances are you're coming into private lending from some other aspect of real estate, and you do have a good amount of contacts, hopefully. But even if you don't have a lot, it's okay. If you have 50, 100 people, it's a fine place to start. And you put them all in. Like, this is a giant asset in your business, and it should be treated as such. Type in your people, whatever data you have about them, contact information, email, phone, whatever you can, whatever data you have, and make yourself a list to start. And start that weekly email broadcast religiously, right? We haven't missed a week in, I don't know, a decade, right? Consistent. And that is number one that we recommend to everyone else. In addition, I would do some other free or low cost things like social media posts are a good one. If people are doing research about your company, you might not have a huge audience that you're showing posts to, but if people are doing research about your company because they're considering working with you for the first time, they're going to look you up. They're going to look you up on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and see what you're up to. And if you have a legit presence, you're doing posts, you know what you're talking about, it's relevant content to these people, that's going to look good for you, right? As opposed to not being there at all or having some Facebook page that hasn't had a post in a year, right? That takes away from the credibility. So I would start with those two things for sure. And then what else would you add to that? Some offline stuff, like actually reaching out, biz devs, things like that?
Well, during startup phase, obviously you have to get some sort of website and your digital collateral set up, right? That's the most important thing. You need to have some sort of website, even if it's as simple as, you know, a homepage, an about us page, and a loan application page, right? And as you expand and you create free reports or other blog posts, collateral, you add videos and stuff like that for credibility, but you need something, right? Like you can't be invisible. You gotta have some things in place for this. And the purpose of all your marketing, for the most part, is either to pick up the phone and call you, or go to your website and check you out and fill out a loan application, right? So you need to get all that stuff in place, and then you map and kind of map and brand all your social platforms: your Facebook, your Instagram, your Twitter, your Google Business, also Google Plus. So now it's Google Business, and LinkedIn. To that, you know, you could obviously add other things like TikTok and Pinterest and things like that, but at least the major ones, because that's where you're blanketing everybody and everyone's getting back to you. And I know we're just talking about digital stuff right now, and then we'll go through a few offline stuff, but the offline stuff still goes back to the digital stuff, right? You meet somebody offline, and when they need your services or they want to look you up, if they don't call you, they're probably going to go to your website, or they're going to try to find you online. So you got to make sure that's built up. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy, but like, you know, think about this. Think about the term like taking over the block, right? Just that term of taking over the block and the digital block is they go search your name. Let's say you're whatever, New York Hard Money, right? When they type in that name, you want to be everywhere. You want to be on all the social platforms. That doesn't mean you need to go spend any money on SEO or anything else to try to bring those rankings up. That just means that you need to have those digital assets, Facebook page and things like that, for obviously brand awareness, but also just so people know where to find you. It's that simple. When they search your name, they can see you. I mean, there's not that many hard money lenders in every city or town, so it's kind of a localized way to get a presence. So some offline things. And again, everything we've talked about so far is free or very inexpensive, or close to it, or very inexpensive. Offline stuff is, you know, do some heavy lifting with meeting people around town, you know, making a presence in mortgage broker's office, real estate offices, hard money lender's office. I mean,
meetup group.
Meetup groups, RIA groups, anything. The goal is this: anybody who has real estate investors, not just real estate people, real estate investor clients, you want to be in front of. It's that simple. I would say the most important ones are the real estate investing focused meetup groups. That's number one most important. You go to a real estate investing meetup group and you raise your hand and tell people that you're a hard money lender, a private money lender with money, the whole room is going to shift from over there to here. It's that simple. That's the easiest way to do it. And as you grow, you know, you start by going to work the room. There's usually 50 to 100 people in one of those rooms, right? Go talk to people, hand out business cards. You ask for their business card, say, hey, listen, just let you know I'm a hard money lender. I'm happy to help you out. If you give me your business card or you give me your information, I'm happy to put you in my database and, you know, send you some relevant information and some information about our program to hopefully help you out, right? And now you grow your email list. But the goal is you talk to people at those meetup groups with the goal of eventually trying to speak at some of those meetup groups. That's always a way, instead of having to go talk to 100 people, you go talk once and there's 100 people listening. So, you know, those, but I mean, it is, if you're not going to throw money at it and you're just going to throw some time on it, you gotta make a name for yourself up front. And again, most of us are localized companies. That's the goal with this lending space, right? So it's not like you got to be driving all around town. Go pick a few of the meetup groups that are the biggest or the most effective or in it local to you, and go spend some time there. And then, you will get leads. If you don't do anything else besides workrooms and a meetup group, you will at least get leads from that.
Yep. And of course, all those people should go into your database, anyone that you ever meet or come in contact with or get their info somehow. So let's recap the 1.0. So get all your stuff set up. Like Jason said, your website, your social media stuff, anywhere your company should be, get all that set up, your database as well, and then work out a weekly and monthly schedule. So for example, a very straightforward and effective weekly schedule will be to do one social post to all platforms and send out one email broadcast in a week, and then throw some stuff on the monthly. Like maybe there's 2 meetup groups you go to. Obviously that's a little bit different now with everything going on, but in the month, say maybe 2 local meetup groups, and then you have your weekly game and your monthly game, and that's a good 1.0 right there. Okay, so 2.0, 3.0. Now we're talking about spending some money on traffic. That's what comes next. So that could be Google AdWords. It could be Facebook and Instagram ads, even LinkedIn maybe. I don't love LinkedIn too much for paid traffic, but we have dabbled with it. And that's when you can really, really, really expand your reach. If you're talking about even a few $1,000s a month, you can get in front of a lot of people, and you're going to get more lead flow. You're going to get more loan applications. You're going to be collecting more data, which, by the way, you should, whatever kind of form they fill out, you should make sure that that automatically goes into your MailChimp or whatever database you use. And that's how it grows. So you have your stuff that you're doing manually that you actually, take the time to do, shooting videos, emails, stuff like that. And then you start throwing money at it in the right way. And you got to be careful, and you got to make sure that you're getting the right bang for the buck. Like, you don't want to be spending like $100 per loan application. That should be more like 30 or 40, depending on the lead source and quality of application, all that too. The stuff varies, but and then you just get better at it and you tweak it over time. Like which keywords, for example, are pulling in the right applications, which ones are not, which ones are the ads that convert better than others, all that kind of stuff. And that's when you're 2.0, 3.0, and you're a real marketer. Which, in our opinion, in this business, you need to be. You need to consider yourself a marketer. You're not like a hard money lender, real estate guy who has a little marketing going on. I wouldn't have that approach, because that's when it doesn't happen in the right way. That's when people don't take it seriously enough, and they end up with low deal flow. And the people who really buy in and tell themselves, I'm a marketer now, those are the people who really get somewhere. Did you want to add some more stuff to the 2.0? I'm sure there's other things.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, it's just ramping up everything. Instead of doing one social post and one email a week, you potentially do one social post a day and multiple emails a week. With scale, that's how it is. I mean, we're constantly brainstorming ways to get in front of our audience. Like that's our highest use of time and energy and money for marketing is to try to get more quality leads and more real estate investors in our local market. So we're going to do whatever it takes, to do so. We're going to do more social content. We're going to do some more email copy. We're going to, right now we buy some leads from a company called Connected Investors and My House Deals. And obviously buying third-party leads is not as good as acquiring your own leads. But guess what? The price we're paying for them, it's worth it to us. To acquire them at that price. And we know that we'll be able to convert them on the back end because they're in our database, and we'll be emailing them regular and seeing regular things. And I mean, just be creative, just like anything else related to marketing. I mean, there's been times that we've done direct mail campaigns where we would acquire lists of anybody who purchased more than 3 properties over the last 12 months under the same entity name. Because what does that mean? That means they're an investor if they're buying more than 3 properties. And we've done direct mail with them to try to build awareness and try to get them to call. And typically every marketing campaign we've ever done has been successful. Now, obviously some are better than others, but it's going out there and doing so. I mean, it's the same thing with, those meetup groups. The next step is try to be a speaker at the meetup group, or try to create your own meetup group and attract.
We did that.
Create
your own in 2.0.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the best things that we did. We have 5,000 members in our meetup group. Typically, when we do an offline event, we get 200 people in the door. If we do an online event, we do, significantly more in the door. And that's easy to do. You either do it yourself, or you partner up with other local experts like other real estate investors or flippers or wholesalers, and then you co-brand it together, and then you share the responsibilities and the things in that. And most of that pretty much free too. Besides time. So in general, you start small. You start in your budget of what you're comfortable with, and then you work your way up. A lot of the stuff that we do is tailored towards repeat borrowers that we've already worked with. Mailing them out T-shirts, trying to do lunch and learns, which we used to do, try to do, blasting them out with emails and texts and voice broadcasts, or doing free giveaways, whatever it is, referral programs. I mean, we treat this like a real business and a company, and you have to. And we also know that it's a lot cheaper to retain a client than acquire a new one. And the whole goal is to talk to as many real estate investors as possible till you get a lead and a loan out of it. So of course we're going to spend all our resources, or the majority of our resources, trying to go back after the borrowers we've already done loans for. And guess what? Real estate investors that do deals know other people that do deals. So hopefully your brain's spinning a little bit, and we've given you some ideas of ways that you can get your phone ringing, get your loan apps filled out, and get people emailing you.
Yeah. So an extension from that question, we had a good question from Jeff that leads right into, okay, says, how do you market for quality borrowers? You need capitalized quality. I find it easy to get people to apply, but how do I get the apps to weed themselves out better? It's a big waste of time to have to filter through so many deals every day. Okay, so a few answers to this. Like, one, unfortunately, it's just the nature of the business that you're going to have to deal with a lot of incoming lead flow. It just is. And we do have a few ways to manage that, but it's just the reality that you're going to be getting calls and texts and emails and loan apps, and they need to be followed up with. And that's kind of never going to go away. And the loan originators in our company, ourselves, and our other partners in other markets, that's just a large chunk of the day. It is. You follow up with your leads, you see what's the deal, you use scripting so that you don't have to be on the phone with them all day, and you can get to kind of beyond the scope of this particular question. But we have scripting in the mastermind group and in the training where you need to get to the important stuff about the deal and about the person to see if you have anything or you don't, right? And so that's something we can address at a later time. But you want to talk about a couple of the automated things that we do in order to weed through some of the stuff, especially online?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, if you're getting a lot of leads and they're not quality, that's okay. Like, that is okay. As long as they're real estate investors, that's the most important thing. If they're homeowners or something like that, your marketing's off. It's got to be real estate investors. But you start with that, and it's a numbers game, just like everything else. We've learned that it's worth it to us to spend $25 to acquire a lead or an email address, so a real estate investor with an email address, because we know that they might not be qualified today, but they might be qualified tomorrow, right? And if you educate them and help them of like, hey, I need a minimum of $40,000. I only have $10,000. It's like, this isn't going to be a good fit for us. But maybe you can find a credit partner or a cash partner. Or something else. Like, there's borrowers that weren't qualified a year ago that are going to be qualified, potentially today. So the important part is putting them into their database. Don't spend, after you tell them over the phone that they unfortunately don't qualify, this is why, they're put into your database, and you email them regularly on a weekly basis. And when they are qualified, hopefully they'll come back to you. So we try to do as much stuff automated as possible. So for instance, when someone fills out a free report on our website, then we try to get them to fill out a loan application. When they fill out a loan application, depending on what area they're located in, they get sent to the current originator based on that. If they say they're applying for a primary residence, they get automatically turned down through an email, and we don't even follow up with them. We get, after they fill out a form and it kind of passes everything else, they get an automatic text. They get an email and a text, and the text says, hey, I saw you just applied for a loan. I'm going to be calling you pretty shortly. By the way, do you have it under contract yet? Oh, no, I'm sorry. It says, by the way, when do you need to close by, right? So all of a sudden they filled out an email, then they're getting a text, and then they see a text that says, hey, when do you need to close by? And they respond to that text, oh, I need to close next week, right? So that's a quick closing deal. Like, I might be able to prioritize them. So we try to pre-screen people up front so we know which ones to spend time on and which ones don't spend time on. And listen, we all unfortunately kind of prejudge which ones we think are better. And it's the worst thing you can do is prejudge somebody based on an application, because sometimes you have somebody in there who is looking for 100% financing, but they don't need 100% financing. And sometimes people are in there and they have this really good deal, and then you find out that was actually their primary residence, isn't the crappy property they were trying to buy, right? So the goal is, like, we do a lot of automated stuff to try to encourage them to reach out. But the goal is to get on the phone as quick as possible and go through everything. And like Chris said, we've had, we've done stuff with trainings on scripting and things like that. But in a perfect world, I'd love to be like, hey, I'm Jason Hard Money Makers. By the way, how much cash do you have? But you can't say that first, right? So you got to go through it and say, hey, do you have the property under contract? But you can be direct and you can be assertive. The goal is, do they have the property under contract? How, do they have experience? How's their credit? How much cash do they have? In general, if somebody doesn't have minimum of $30,000 cash, we can't really do anything for them. And I tell them that up front. So I try to get that question out as quick as possible. When we train, when we do consulting or we train some of our partners in other markets, and this is stuff that we've learned from experience, the goal is, if it's a turn down, to try to get them off the phone within a minute or two. And then if it's somebody who's taking, potential to the next level, it's usually a 5 to 10 minute call to try to get additional information. So you try to go through it. And if you're getting a lot of leads, but they're just not qualified, I wouldn't say that's a waste of time. I would say that your marketing efforts are accurate. Look at it like this. If 10 people apply with you a day, 7 of them are probably going to be, 6 to 7 of them probably are going to be a waste of time. 4 of them will be okay, right? Half of those probably just are looking for information or don't have anything right now. And the other 2 might have might be somewhere, either ready to go right now or not. But keep in mind, typically, and this isn't always the case, like in a perfect world, I love when borrowers call us and say, hey, by the way, I was just turned down by somebody else, or I got to close next week. Can you help me? Can we close in a week? And we take that deal today and we close it next week. Like, that happens, and I like those. But typically, people are looking for more information at the beginning, right? So unfortunately, you got to spend the quality time. This is a long-term play, right? So you spend the quality time, you work with them, you give them value. They might not have a deal right now. You might not be the best fit for them right now. And then they call you back in the future when you are the best fit. And that's what happens. And they're on your email database. You stay in front of them. I mean, some of the things that we train our business partners in other markets is, don't worry about following up with these people to see if they've got a property under contract. Let's say you give a pre-approval letter. You don't even have to follow up with them to see if they got that property under contract, because you have an automated marketing machine. You're sending them emails out, broadcast emails out at least once a week. You're going to be in front of them over and over and over and over and over. And as much as follow-up is so important, there's no need to follow up with somebody who doesn't have the opportunity or a deal right now, because your system on the back end with your emails, broadcast emails, are going to follow up with them. So talk to as many people as you can, go through it, but use your time wisely and use the script and move through it quickly. And I know a lot of people say, well, I'd like to get an office assistant to do some of that. I wouldn't recommend that unless you're a big enough company or you're doing enough stuff to make it worth your while, because the right real estate investors, like the right ones in your markets that are doing lots of deals, they want to talk to a principal. They want to talk to somebody who can speak their language. They don't necessarily want us to talk to, a robot that's just going to ask them a few questions. And we've been through that before. And I'm not stating that.
We tried it. Yeah. We've tried everything. We've tried every angle at this.
Yeah. So go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, just the reality is that you're going to be working the phones and the email, and that's part of it. Get good at it, as efficient as you can. Work the scripting, and try to get some repeat people. And once those repeat people come in, that's when life gets easier. When people just hit you up with a text and you're like, okay, we can lend this much. They're like, great. Like that, it gets way easier once you get those repeat clients.
And also, you need to learn from it that way as well. Like, if you're just starting off, like, you have to answer the phone. Like, you just have to. And people fight it. You have to. You need to know what the questions are. You need to know what's out there. I mean, there was times that we had a loan officer that we didn't believe was performing to their ability, and I personally took back that position and said, you know what, I want to be on the front lines again, so I can see exactly what's going on, to see what the questions are, to see what's in. So I'm not stating you have to do that forever. In the future, you can have someone that runs point on some of that stuff for you, but like, I think it's important. And the nature of, to really sum this up, the nature of this business is, It's 80-15-5 rule, just like anything else. You're going to have to wean through the 80% to get to the good ones. But that being said, when a good one comes in, it's just like any business, right? The good ones take up very little time, and they're very, very easy, and they're very profitable. So as you grow, you can determine where to focus your mindset. Or your time. We already said this earlier on in this podcast that we try to spend as much time as possible with our repeat borrowers to get them into the door. If we have a repeat borrower, they're going to probably text me or shoot me a quick email or shoot me a quick call. Hey, Jason, I got another property under contract. I just want to see how much you can lend. Right? Very, very, very simple. Very, very simple process.
Good stuff. All right, everyone. That's it for the podcast today. Good questions, and keep them coming. If you ever have a question, shoot us an email, chris@hardmoneybankers.com, jason@hardmoneybankers.com, and we will be back at you next time.